Hello everyone, today I'll be reviewing Forrest Gump. So Forrest Gump came out in 1994 and was directed by Robert Zemeckis and stars Tom Hanks in a lead role. Forrest Gump as a character is a man who is slightly on the stupid side and he lives in Alabama in America. At the start of this film we see Forrest Gump sitting on a bench eating a box of chocolates and saying how life is like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get. And that phrase pretty much sums up this film. So Forrest Gump is telling people who are sitting on the bench next to him, he's telling them about his life from when he was a young boy in the 1950s and then moving on throughout the 60s and 70s and into the early 80s. And this film really focuses on Forrest Gump's life in general and showing us how somehow Forrest Gump, who might seem like a fairly ordinary guy, manages to get involved or influence all of the major events in American history in the 20th century. There's an early scene where we see him teach Elvis Presley how to gyrate his hips, and then later on Forrest goes and gets involved in the Vietnam War and ends up influencing the Watergate scandal of all things. So this film really does a very good job of showing us these different historical events through the eyes of the character of Forrest Gump. Now Tom Hanks is possibly one of the best actors of all time really. He really is excellent in lots of different films and I think this is one of the highlights of his career. He won the Oscar for Best Actor in this film and actually the year before this he won the Oscar for Best Actor for Philadelphia. So 2 years in a row, that is not bad, is it? We also get a brilliant supporting cast in this film. We get Sally Field playing Forrest Gump's mother and she does an excellent job, and we also get Robin Wright play Forrest's love interest Jenny. But I think probably my favourite character in this film is actually Lieutenant Dan, who's played by Gary Sinise. And Gary Sinise is an actor who I haven't really seen in many things, because I've seen him in this obviously and Of Mice and Men, and he was also in CSI New York, which was a TV show that I used to like back when it was on. But in this film he really gives a great performance because Lieutenant Dan's a very interesting character. He's fighting in the Vietnam War alongside Forrest, and all of his family members have died in these major American wars like the Revolutionary War, the American Civil War, World War I, World War II, and Lieutenant Dan feels it's his destiny to die in the Vietnam War. Moving on from that, Tom Hanks is the real star here because he plays Forrest Gump in a brilliant way, because as I said, Forrest Gump is a slightly stupid character. Although he's not a complete idiot, it would be unfair to call him an idiot, and in fact there are a few times throughout this film where characters refer to him as an idiot, and then we often get people come in and defend him and say, no, don't call Forrest an idiot. Another thing I absolutely love about this film is the soundtrack. We get lots of iconic songs in this film. Obviously, as I said, this film takes place through several different decades and we get so many brilliant songs from so many excellent artists, whether it be Elvis Presley, Aretha Franklin, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Jimi Hendrix, The Doors, the Mamas and the Papas. Really the list goes on. We get so many excellent tracks throughout this film. It really gives us a sense of the time period in which this film is taking place. Now this film was very successful at the Oscars. It won 6 Oscars including Best Picture, and it was actually a year which was very competitive. We had lots of great films come out in 1994, so we also had ones like The Shawshank Redemption and Pulp Fiction, and it is also worth mentioning that this film did extremely well at the box office. It was the second biggest film of the year behind The Lion King. I've seen this film a few times now and it's one of those films that when I come back to, it always puts a smile on my face and I always manage to enjoy it. I find it such a likeable film. It's quite a hard film to dislike. It's a very uplifting film, very enjoyable film to watch, and generally fairly happy, although it does deal with some slightly serious issues. Perhaps some people might find this film slightly too sentimental at times. It does tend to make light of perhaps a few situations which maybe might seem quite dark, and even the sequence with the Vietnam War taking place. I always got the sense that really Forrest was going to be okay and things were going to work out in the end, because when you're watching this film you really have faith in Forrest Gump and you know that things are going to be okay and that he will do the right thing. And Forrest Gump as a character is a man who, as I said, is slightly on the stupid side, but is always trying to do the right thing and is really a good person. So if I'm to be completely honest, I perhaps do think this film is slightly overrated. I'll give an example. On the IMDb top 250, this is currently number 12 on the list. Yes, number 12. Now, I do think this is a great film, but the 12th greatest film of all time, I don't know. I probably think that's a bit of a stretch. I do think it's a brilliant film, and if I am honest, I perhaps don't think it deserved to win the Best Picture Oscar, because I think probably The Shawshank Redemption and Pulp Fiction are better films than this. But again, it's entirely subjective. Lots of people probably think otherwise, and that's just my opinion. I can certainly understand why this won the Best Picture Oscar, because Tom Hanks gives an excellent performance, and Forrest Gump is obviously a character who is slightly disadvantaged mentally, and he's able to overcome obstacles and really have an excellent life and do lots of great things, despite the fact he has those disadvantages that other people don't have. And for that reason, I can certainly see why it did so well at the box office and why it was so well received. I also think that perhaps now some people might look at this film and might feel as though the film is making fun of Forrest Gump or making fun of disabled people. But to be honest, I don't believe that. I don't think the film is doing that at all. I think the film is showing us what a good person Forrest Gump is, and showing what a great character he is, and it's showing how, you know, people, if you do have a disability, you can overcome it in lots of different ways, and you can have a fulfilling life. And I can't imagine anybody else playing Forrest Gump apart from Tom Hanks. I think perhaps if a different actor did it, the film probably wouldn't have been as well received, or maybe people wouldn't have liked it as much. But who knows? We will never know, because for now Tom Hanks is simply Forrest Gump. So overall, I really enjoy Forrest Gump. I think it's a great film. I don't think it's a perfect film. Perhaps it is slightly overrated, but nevertheless, it's definitely worth a watch, and really is a very likeable film and with a very good message. So I'm going to give Forrest Gump a rating of 9 out of 10, and I recommend you check it out if somehow you haven't seen this film. So there we go. So that is my review of Forrest Gump. So what do you guys think? Have you seen Forrest Gump? Please let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.